I want to address something today that has been showing up again and again. It's been a theme for me in my own life, with my clients in their sessions, and with other people in my family, mainly this week, but maybe over a few weeks. And it's just really been brought to my attention, and I just thought it'd be useful to make a video on it today, in case this is something that you're having occur in your own experience. And that is, it's the voice in the head, the voice that starts making statements, that comes in with really strong things like, what if this goes wrong? I can't do that. It's not safe to do that. You haven't got enough money to do that. I'm not ready. It'll never work. It never has worked. That old kind of really familiar voice that we all have. And up until this point in our entire life, we've automatically assumed that this is me and that this is the truth. But I'd like to offer you a different way of looking at this. What if it isn't? What if it isn't you? And what if it isn't truth? What if this voice appears most strongly not when something is actually wrong, but when something has just shifted for you? And when I was thinking about this before I just started to record this video, I got the image of a hot air balloon. And I want to use this image because using a metaphor really helps the psyche to kind of understand on a deeper level rather than just from the mental body. Imagine that you are the hot air balloon and your natural state is to rise. Your natural frequency is lightness, expansion, movement, freedom. But over time, sandbags have been attached, and these sandbags represent old beliefs, old fears, old trauma, protective patterns, things from childhood, from your ancestral line, from past experiences, the density that holds you down, that I've spoken about many times before. And those sandbags have kept you anchored to the ground, and you've got quite comfortable for a while being on the ground, having that world view of that ground. But that hot air balloon that is you has always been there, with its potential to soar, to fly, to be free. And when you're at the point where you have an awakening experience and you begin the process of the healing journey, those sandbags that kept you anchored to the ground start to be loosened. So when we start to do the inner work and we start to really release and feel through emotion that's been stuck in the body, heal parts of ourselves and claim fragments back into oneness, it's like removing the sandbags. And we don't remove them all at once, because that would be too much at once. We tend to remove one sandbag at a time, and part of the balloon begins to lift. Not because we're becoming something new and we're really going to be different, but because we're returning back to what we always were. And here's where the voice comes in. And it's the part that nobody really talks about. So when one sandbag drops, the balloon shifts, it rises slightly, and the system then feels unfamiliar and a bit unstable because part of it feels higher than the other. And suddenly the old programming kicks in and the voice says, don't go there, this is dangerous, what if you fail, what if you can't cope, you're not ready. And this voice is developed to keep you safe when you were anchored. And it doesn't yet understand that you are rising. It can't see where you are going. It can't see beyond the view that it has from the ground. So it panics. And it can feel like, oh no, I've gone backwards. It can feel like huge overwhelm and anxiety, flooded with thoughts and doubts and fears, louder than ever before. But actually, what's happened is you've released a sandbag. And I saw this very clearly this week with a few people. One person is in my own family. They really struggle with their mental health, and I found a therapy that could really help them. It's really powerful, supportive, and it could be the breakthrough that he needs. And initially there was a kind of, yes, I'd love to do that. And then immediately the mind went into, I can't travel there. I don't know the people there. It won't work. It won't feel safe. I won't feel safe. And I'm all right actually as I am. Not because it wasn't right. And there was a slight pull, yes, that would feel good. That intuition was like, yes. But then the system didn't feel safe. But he did feel that slight lift as the suggestion was given there. I've also had that with clients this week, and it just seems more intense this week for some reason. Deep emotional material worked on, integrating some of those parts and the trauma of the past, and really allowing the system to feel through that energy is the sandbag that's been dropped. But afterwards, during the integration process, there was lots of fears coming in, lots of limiting beliefs, lots of old stories, not because the session had failed, but because the balloon had moved. So here's the teaching for today. When old thoughts and fears get louder after you've done some healing work, it doesn't mean something is wrong. It does mean that something has shifted and the system is recalibrating. And the balloon is adjusting to this new altitude. And 3 things to do when this happens that really do matter. And I hope this really helps someone today. First of all, recognise what's happening. This is part of the process. It's not a mistake. You're not failing, and it's not regression. It's just the nervous system catching up with the soul and recalibrating to this more expanded frequency. And you can say to yourself here, it's okay. I've just released a sandbag. I've just felt through some density. I've just let go of a lot of stuff that is not mine to carry. And the number 2 thing to do would be, when those thoughts come in, with the awareness that is you, that is not the thoughts, I want you to ask, with a bit of separation from that thought, is this actually true? Is this statement that you're making true? Generally, thoughts that come from here are what if, what if, what if. But our inner knowing is more of a truth. We can feel the difference. It's subtle, but we can feel the difference. And this is the training to actually notice the difference. That old voice, the monkey mind, or whatever you want to call it, that just chatters in your ear. You can't do that because, you can't do that because. You can start to now have a little separation from that and ask it, is that true? Is this old? Is this thought coming from protection or fear? What you can then do, once you realise that it's not true, because it won't be, you can gently bring in evidence to counteract that thought. I hear you, but we've survived this before, and give examples. I've grown now. I have a support system. You can look at, if it's a financial issue, we don't have the money to do this. You can then counter it with the abundance of something else that you have in your life. And it just immediately dissolves the thought because it actually isn't true. It's not a truth. And it's really important to bring your awareness to watching the thought, to observing them, not identifying as the thought itself, because the thought itself is not you. And one of the people I work with this week has intense intrusive thoughts, and it's terrifying because they believe that the thoughts are them. But if there can just be that tiny little bit of space between the awareness that is you and the thought, then it can just immediately really dissolve that whole spiraling out of control pattern. And number 3 in this part of the healing journey is really important to calm the nervous system down, as I've spoken about many times before. The body is always the last thing to catch up. The mind might understand it logically, and the soul might be ready to lift off, but the nervous system still thinks it's in the old world. So it's really important to really support the nervous system. So taking rest, relaxation, hot baths, Epsom salt baths, standing barefoot on the ground, really grounding that electrical energy, because that really, really does help as well, because we're electromagnetic beings. Placing your hands on a tree, being out in nature, meditation, nourishing foods, telling the body I am safe. And yesterday I posted a meditation that is teaching the body it's safe, using these tools that you have in your toolbox to really support and nurture and be kind to the nervous system, not be angry and annoyed. We've done all of this work, why can't we just move forward? It just needs some time, it just needs some recalibration time. So not pushing forward, not analysing from the mind, but really teaching the system it is safe. So if you find yourself in a place where you've done healing work and you're feeling more sensitive and old fears are becoming louder and your mental body is incredibly busy, it doesn't mean that you're failing. It just means that your balloon is lifting, and it's unfamiliar, but it is who you are, and it's really exciting actually. And those sandbags don't want to go quietly because they're used to being on the ground and they're used to holding that balloon in place. And you're not becoming something new, you're shedding what you are not. And what you are is such a beautiful, incredible diamond that's just waiting to step onto its highest timeline. And it's just about learning to trust the altitude of your own soul, which is so incredibly powerful. So I hope that video really helped someone today. I'd be really interested to receive your comments. Thank you very much.